Okay, so let's start this off with the Bible prayer. The Book of Jude. Now to him who is able to keep you from stumbling, and to present you blameless before the presence of his glory, with great joy, to the only God, our Savior, through Jesus Christ our Lord, be glory, majesty, dominion, and authority, before all time, now and forever. Amen. Hi everybody, how's it going? This is a Christian community that designed to be like a ministry, and it supports the Christian faith. It talks about like nerd stuff. It's called Christian RPG Gamers. So today I was going to talk a little bit about Fallout 4. I'll try to put some kind of like a Christian spin on this in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, let's watch a little trailer video about it. Fair use is the thing.
Everything can change in an instant, whether or not you're ready.
This wasn't the world I wanted, but it was the one I found myself in. This time I'm ready, because I know war.
War never changes. I have a question. The only question that matters. Would you risk your life for your fellow man, even if that man is a synth?
Beneath the Commonwealth, there is a cancer, known as the Institute. A malignant growth that needs to be cut before it infects the surface.
They're the real enemy. Not the Raiders. Not the super mutants. Not even those tools over in Diamond City.
Don't shoot! I swear I'm not a synth. For God's sakes, we're family!
This is ridiculous. I want the truth, McDonough.
Protect the people at a minute's notice. Decide our own future.
We're a man out of time, but all's not lost.
This campaign will be costly. But in the end, we will be saving humankind from its worst enemy, itself. So where is it, huh? This institute. How do I get there?
Haven't you been paying attention? You don't find the institute. The institute finds you.
Let's go, boy.
That's a little bit about Fallout 4. I guess I'll start this off by saying I think for the YouTube channel, I think I'm just gonna stop my walkthroughs for the time being. So I'm just not gonna make a walkthrough for Fallout 4. I think I'm just gonna. I think the goal is I'm just gonna take a break from making walkthroughs for a little while. It's just, sometimes it's just the necessary thing to do. You gotta mature and grow a little bit. But let's talk about Fallout 4 a little bit though. So it's a game. It's a game that so you start out as like a. I don't want to go too heavily into the spoilers, but to be honest, this video is probably gonna have a lot of spoilers in it. So I'd say just be warned. I'm probably gonna talk about a lot of the spoilers. So the main point of the game really is about you're the survivor, and ultimately you you have to get to the ending of the game, and you have to join the faction, and you get to learn and experience this entire world and all the people in it. And again, like it tells a beautiful story, but you're trying to find your long lost son. And yeah, so there's like 4 major factions. So there's the Institute, there's the Brotherhood of Steel, there's the Minutemen, then there's the Railroad. And I guess you could say you could just refuse to join any of the factions, I guess, for most of the game. Kind of just go with solo or whatever. So the things I like and don't like about this. So again, like there really isn't like necessarily like a good guys team and like a bad guys team. I would say all 4 factions are basically good people in their own right. I mean, you have the Institute. They're basically good people. They're like scientists. And you got like the Brotherhood of Steel. They're more conservative in a lot of ways. They believe that technology is bad for humanity, and taking away technology and trying to put people back to a normal state, they think that's what's going to save the world. And like the Minutemen, they're like a neutral faction that doesn't really care about anyone or anything. All they really care about is just trying to help the common folk. And then you got the Railroad, and the Railroad tries to find like lost synths and give them a new life and another chance. And then and like the Brotherhood of Steel generally hates these synths because they believe the synths are abominations, and then they should be purged and wiped out from the world. And to tell you the truth, I mean, I probably do think the Brotherhood of Steel is the best pathway for going forward in the series, and just in life, because there is a lot of truth to it. That the synthetics basically are like an abomination, like even biblically, right? They're a perversion and a freak of nature. I mean, that's what synths are. That the Institute takes people and they grab them out of their lives, and I'm not actually sure what they do with the people. They probably just kill them, and they take them out of their life, and they just like download a brand new version of them and put them in a synth body. I think they take their brain or something, yeah, and then they turn them into a synth, and then they put the synth back out into the world looking like that person, so they can go out and they can monitor the world, and they kind of like, they're like the Big Brother government is secretly hiding, trying to they use these synthetics to see what's going on in the world, so they can try to fix the world. But again, like all the factions, they all believe they're trying to do what's best for the world. To tell you the truth, I mean, I don't really know that there really is a correct answer to this. It's kind of just like you play the game and you get to go with any of the factions. So I kind of would have liked the game in a lot of ways if they would have just been a little bit more divisive. They would have just said, like they would have made like an evil faction, right? Like one faction in this game is like definitively an evil faction, and like one faction in this game was like definitively like a good faction. But their goal of the game was basically to make all 4 factions they're all like the good guys in their own right. They're all trying to help the world, right? And I mean, it's both a good thing and a bad thing, because it's like for storytelling purposes, they don't really have like an actual villain necessarily. It's like it's really hard to say like who's really the bad guy in this story. Like, everybody's just trying to look out for themselves, and they're all just trying to survive. And the same thing is true with you as the individual. And you can build like your little sanctuary city, and you get all these other major settlements, and everyone is just trying to look out for themselves in the world, and they're all trying to take care of themselves and to survive, to live another day. And everybody in this world, they all have like what you say, they all have like a god complex. They all think they're the messiah of the world. Like they know what's best. Like the Brotherhood of Steel, they know what's best for everybody. And the Institute, they know what's best for everybody. And like, and you got like the Minutemen, and you also got like the Railroad. They kind of just keep to themselves. It's like, you got but like they also oppose each other. All the factions kind of oppose each other. They're all kind of just very selfish people in their own rights. It's like the Brotherhood of Steel is probably the best bet for humanity when it comes to this world, but they're also filled with hatred, and they're borderline very self-serving and even like cynical at times, and they're just a very negative faction. I mean, they probably are doing the right thing at the end of the day, but they use extreme methods at times. And again, they're filled with like just hatred, right? But I do think they're probably doing the right thing, and their methods are a little bit harsh at times, but it is morally the right thing to do, and there is a lot of truth to it also. But it comes off as very negative. And then you got like the Institute is like hiding underneath in the ground, and they don't want to go out and talk to anybody, and they're like secretly monitoring everybody. But again, like they also believe that they're doing the good thing. And like the Railroad, they also think they're doing the good thing by trying to save the synthetic lives. And they're also using secrets. And you got like the Minutemen, who also think they're doing the good thing because they want to try to help the Commonwealth by helping the people. But again, like it's like all four of these factions are they're all good in their own right, and everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. But I mean, like I don't know, like that's one of the problems with the game. But I also think that's one of the beauties of Fallout 4 too, and that it's a very morally gray game, and that there just isn't that there really just isn't a major villain. I mean, truth be told, in series like these, there are times where you could even believe that maybe you, the main character, maybe you're like the bad guy in the story. I mean, as harsh as that might sound, sometimes like maybe you're the villain. I mean, truth be told, if there isn't a villain, maybe you become it. Because the whole world and everything and everyone in it, everything was basically just fine until you came along. I mean, it's like this. It's like the same thing is true with a lot of these types of games, right? It's like there was again, I would say, like, truth be told, I do feel like, because you got, like, Diamond City, and everyone was just kind of chilling there. And the Institute was just monitoring people. You got, like, the Brotherhood of Steel came along. You got the Minutemen. You got, this, again, like, most of the world and the factions and stuff you have. Truth be told, the world was kind of just sitting in a very neutral spot. Nothing was really happening positively or negatively until you come along. And, like, you are the defining factor of how the world's going to shape. And, like, by the time you're done with the game, you can destroy the entire Institute. Or you can destroy the entire, like, Brotherhood of Steel. And pretty much whichever group you join, you're probably going to end up dismantling a bunch of the other groups and people. And it's like, without your help, the world is probably just a very neutral, normal world. Then you come along, right? And then you come along as the main character, and you kind of just screw everything up. You screw the world up. And truth be told, the same thing with like Fallout 3, right? Fallout 3. It's kind of the same truth, right? Like, again, you can in the game choose to try to do what you think is the good thing to do. You can kind of make the world a better place by the time you're done. Yeah, so like you can build up, you kind of like, you can help rebuild the world back up again from the bottom up. So it's like, again, like the world's kind of in a bad spot, but it's also in a survivable spot. Again, like you as an individual have the ability to impact the world, and you can try to make it for a better place if you want to too, right? I mean, maybe that's a good good Christian message in a sense too, right? You come along, and after a nuclear apocalyptic world, you can come along and you can rebuild your home base again. And you can help flush out a bunch of the problems. You can help a bunch of the companions out with their problems and their stories. You can go to all the locations. You can try to do good in the world. I mean, at least one of the main factions are going to probably be destroyed. There's just it's just like a garbage truck outside. You might hear that a little bit. Yeah, you rebuild the settlement back up. You can also, if you join the Minutemen, personally speaking, I think the Minutemen, again, like, I've played through all the factions, and the Minutemen are probably one of the most good people in their own rights. They mostly just kind of keep to themselves, but the Minutemen generally tend to work with all the other factions. They're probably the most good choice to pick through, to be honest. If you're going to join any of the groups, the problem is that with the Minutemen, are very neutral, and they also just kind of keep to themselves. Like, they don't really do anything for anyone else. So again, like, you can join the Minutemen, and you can go out and you can build these radio broadcasts, and you can kind of repopulate the world again. And you can help build. You can go through all the settlements, and you can build them. You can build brand new homes and bases and stuff, right? It's like, the sense of redemption. And that's, it's something I like about Fallout, right? Yeah, and again, I do feel like Fallout is a very neutral game. It's also a very morally great game at times. It doesn't. They're really, again, like, one of the things about Fallout is that there really just isn't a main villain. It's like, it's like everybody's just trying to survive and look out for themselves. That's really what all Fallout really is. And you're no different in the game. And you have a purpose and a reason to exist. Most people are just trying to survive, trying to come to terms and peace with why they exist until they die, which is, it's a pretty negative and pretty harsh reality. But the truth is, that's no different than reality in real life, right? Most of us every day are just trying to survive and trying to figure out a way to come to peace with our existence until the day we come to our ending of our life. It's a harsh thing to hear, but it's probably the truth is. It's the most truth of ways I would say that you could do too. You could look at it too. But yeah, like, again, like, you can rebuild the world again. You can flush out a bunch of the corruption and the problems. You can try to do a lot of good. Like, you can bring back a lot of water to Fallout 4. You can have the water purifiers. Again, like, you build settlements again. You can build the traders. All the different. You got the clinics. You got the places where you buy the weapons and the armor and the food and drink, and you can bring back. You can help rebuild back up and bring back something new, some new good life to the world again. And that's a really cool thing about Fallout 4. It might be a little bit cheesy, and it might feel a little bit boring at times, or people don't. Again, like, some people like or don't like these things. It's kind of like when you play, like, video games like The Witcher 3, for example, or you got one of the like the Ubisoft games or stuff like that, right? Where you clear out an area, and then everybody gets to return back to the area again. It's one of those things that brings a person a tremendous satisfaction inside, knowing that you help liberate an area again, to help them to build you defeat some source of evil in the area, and then everybody gets to come back again. And that's something that I do like a lot as a person of the faith. Because it just makes me feel really good inside. And the same thing with Fallout 4. Like, you can go out to say you're playing the game, right? And you go out to, and Preston Garvey's like, hey, there's there's a settlement that you could go out and try to, build a base or whatever. So you go out there and you go out there with your companion, and you go out there and you defeat a bunch of the enemies. You clear out the area, right? Then you can come back, and then what you can do is you can either again, like, it's all about, like, reaping what you sow. So you can establish a trade route from one area to the other. You can build build a radio beacon, and you can have a bunch of people will start coming back to that area from throughout the wastes. And then you can build them beds, you can build them water, food, you give them jobs, you give them stuff they can do. And over time, if you get the resources or the means, you can build a small little base there, right? And you can house, like, I don't know, you could be 10 to 20 people in a little settlement, right? And people can come back and they can live. And you can do that all throughout the world. And it's a cool little feature, right? It's the ability to, like, to create and to give life. I know that there's the idea of taking life away. In most video game systems, they take life away, right? But as a Christian, I do feel like there is the truth of giving life. I know that, it's very biblical, right? In holiness, it comes from God himself. The idea of giving life and taking life away. But, most video games, they only focus on taking away life. They never focus on like giving and creating life. And I do think this is a really cool thing from Fallout 4, is that it allows you to give life. I mean, every single day, most of us, all we ever do is we just take. We take everything and we give nothing back. We just consume everything around us. We steal, we lie, we cheat, we kill. We just consume, we eat everything we can. Everything's always just all about us. And we drive down the road, we drive really fast, and we're just like homicidal. We're just mad, violent, angry. You go online, on the internet, it's just angry all the time. And it's like always just this extreme amounts of hatred. Just self-serving evil greed. And tremendous amounts of hubris and every bad quality you can think of. And video games, more often than not, they teach you to it's basically to be self-serving and to be evil. And this is something I like about certain types of content, is that in Fallout 4, you have the option to choose to give life, rather than just always take it. And you can build a settlement, and you can help people to come back to that settlement, and then you can give them jobs, you can give them things they can do, you can restore life again. You can help free people from a terrible scenario. And that's something that I like about the game, right? The same thing with like The Witcher 3. You can go to an area that's, being tormented by some evil monsters coming through, and all these people have to flee and they have to leave. And maybe it kills half the people there originally. But you can come by and be like, the monster slayer, and you can slay that monster, and then the monster's dead, and then the people can come back. And they can relive their lives again. They can start building up fresh. And maybe they suffer a lot, but eventually you can heal, or new people can come there, right? And again, same thing with this game. And the same thing with a lot of this stuff. There's also a video game called I think it's called like Garden Simulator, a cozy adventure or something. Again, a game where you build like a flower bed, right? You build a garden, and you create this garden, and you can eventually put a bunch of flowers out again. You build a bunch of green grass, and it makes this lively community again. And you can sell and give the flowers away, and you get a job, and it's just like one of those things where it's like really satisfying inside. It's a life of finding satisfaction. And that's again the idea of give. You can sow seeds, and you can create, and you can build life. You can build a garden. You can build a world and a society where it thrives, and then where it's more about giving than it is just about receiving. Or you build and you create rather than just steal and take all day. And this is something I think this is probably one of the things I like a lot about Fallout 4, is that you can choose to give back. And you can help bring back water to the society. And the same thing with Fallout 3. Because Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 are both connected together as the same type of game. And even in Fallout 3, right? You can help bring back water to the society. I mean, water is the source of life. And also Fallout has a lot of biblical themes in it too. Even the idea of the water of life. Like they had the quote from Revelation. You got Fallout 3, and then you go into Fallout 4. Yeah, this is something I really like about Fallout. I don't want to make this too much longer, but yeah, I think that's probably the message I would put on this series, though. Is it's like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of Christian messages you could use, but the idea of choosing to give, you can create and build and choose to give life, rather than always just having to take it. It's like, the devil comes to this earth to steal, kill, and destroy. He's a liar. He's filled with envy. He's malicious. He's the bad guy. He's the main villain of life. And in holiness, God creates and gives life. Now, again, it can be, you have to keep your ego in check a little bit too. Even like the Garden of Eden, right? God himself in heaven, he created life, and he made human beings, and he built a world. He built a garden. He put human beings in the garden. He gave them water. He gave them food. He provided for them. He took care of them. He created and he gave life. And it's like that's a cool thing. I like the idea of creationism. As a Christian, we do believe in the idea of creationism. And I think Fallout 4, it does on some levels teach the idea of creationism. I mean, there's a lot of fun things you can do in video games. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say just sitting around and creating things all day is necessarily, and people to do all these things are not necessarily always the most, it's not always the most, like, super high-end, potent, pleasure fun, but it is very satisfying. It makes you feel really wholesome, and, you know, it gives you a renewed sense of strength and value as a person. And it's like, you know, all day long you could play Fallout and just walk around the map and just shoot a bunch of raiders, right? And just take all their stuff. But there's also, like, you could build buildings, and, you know, you give people a new chance for life, or just they can live their lives. And that's a cool thing too. I like the idea that you can choose life over death. And that's the main message I would say. You know, you have the option and the right at times to, at least to try, to choose life over death. And you know, if you can, you know, choose creationism. All right, thanks. God is good.